What have I learnt about resilience in the last 12 months? Quite a lot, to be fair, and I wanted to reflect back on the last 12 months because I remember on my last day of my last holiday in this very same location that I recorded a solo episode podcast where I talk about what I was hoping to get out of the podcast, and I've certainly achieved that. Over the last 12 months, I have interviewed around 70 people, all from different backgrounds, all from different parts of the world, different ages. But the one thing I've learned is that for me, resilience isn't the absence of problems. It's not the absence of setbacks, challenges. It's not hiding away from things that arise in life. It is, in fact, learning to embrace setbacks, challenges, moments that shape and change our lives forever. They're the opportunities to learn and grow as a person, because if we shy away from them and we put them in a little box hoping to return to them at later, then they build and they show up in subconscious patterns, and by putting something away and hoping to come back to it at a later date means that you're not learning that lesson. So what happens, I believe, is that the universe then presents another setback, but this time it's actually going to be bigger, harder, stronger, because the universe wants you to learn. It wants you to take that opportunity to take that lesson, give it your best, do whatever feels right, whatever is in line with who you are. Do that, because if you don't do it, then I believe when it comes back stronger, it means that the consequences and the stakes are higher. And I'm saying that from learned experiences, because I was shown the same lesson time after time after time. And I knew that I wasn't happy in my job as a police officer, but I failed to listen. I had all these conversations with people for many years saying that I felt that I wanted to be something different. I wanted to live a different life. And then when I finally took the courage to face those internal dialogues, the universe rewarded me in kind, and I'm now living a life that excites me. So the main thing I've learned around resilience is life isn't the absence of problems, challenges, setbacks, obstacles. Life is about becoming very comfortable in the uncertainty, because what happens in uncertainty is we have to work it out as we're doing things. It's not about pre-planned actions. It's about in every moment taking a deep breath in, sitting with whatever it is that you feel and acting. And that's not easy, but sometimes you have to accept that life isn't easy, life isn't fair. Sometimes the right action isn't the action that is the easiest. It's not the one that gives you that satisfaction or pleasure instantly, but it doesn't have to be. Because if you're looking long-term happiness around what it is that you want to achieve in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, and then you reverse all the way back, you zoom out to where you want to be, and you can look at everything in your life and you can identify very clearly those things there are not helping me. They're not the things that are going to get me to where I want to be. So I'm slowly but surely going to remove each of these things. I'm going to put them over there. They're no longer part of my life. That might involve cutting things off that you do, which again isn't easy, but it's necessary. Not everything in life is easy, but some things are absolutely necessary to get to where you want to be, because two things can't coexist. You can't live in alignment and out of alignment at the same time. I was trying to do both things. I knew the person I wanted to become was over here, and I knew he didn't behave in the way that this person behaves, but I was trying to behave still in this way and add in things in that person does. But guess what? Your capacity goes, no thank you. You're giving me too much to do here, too much to think about. I can't live a contradiction. I can't live a lie. I know the person I want to become, and he doesn't act in this way. So therefore, what's going to happen is these other emotions are going to continuously build in of frustration. And the second thing I wanted to cover was don't multiply by zero. You see people giving all this advice on the little finishing touches, the little add-ons, the little sprinkles, being the things that are going to make you fundamentally stronger and more resilient. And in my opinion, they're not. The fundamentals are the important things. So many people I've spoke to in my podcast, especially the guys that have done the special forces, talk about excellence being the basics done exceptionally well. So stick to the basics. Identify the key things, the big things you're doing in your life, and identify whether they are in alignment. Not the little sprinkles, they can be added at a later date, but the little supplements, the little sleep hacks, biohacks, people trying to sell you things and you don't realise it. They're not the important things. The important things are your happiness, it's your career, your family. Are you managing your balance? Is your cup filled with the things you want to be doing in life? Because if you're unhappy, then all of these extra things, to me, are irrelevant because you're multiplying by zero. The person that is so worried that they're looking at their phone as they're crossing the road and they haven't looked to check the traffic and then they're hit by a car, they've multiplied by zero. They've been so caught up in the tiny little sprinkles that they've not stopped to look at the traffic and they've been hit and they're dead because they believed that they were going to get poisoned by some sprinkle in the sky. And you can apply that to everything. You listen to so many podcasts, read books, and you just absorb it and you don't practice it. For me, another important thing to build resilience is to give it a go, give it a try. We can learn and then apply, learn and apply. Work out what works for you, work out what doesn't. Keep the things that work and discard the things that don't, because we're all different and one thing that works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for everybody. And I've learned that myself, that I listen to people, I take an hour's podcast and I listen intently, I ask the right questions at the right time, but then what I'm doing is I'm actually dissecting it and I'm looking at what works for me, what could I apply here, what is something that he said or she said that may work for me. And there's some things that I know that aren't for me, I'm now able to apply the breathe, recalibrate and deliver process that myself and Olly Hall-Green are using as our fundamental key principles for the course that we're now delivering to other men that are absolutely thriving already. And the course very much for the first 4 weeks isn't about adding more, it's about learning to slow down and create space and energy so that you're able to remove things from your life that aren't serving you. And you're able then to look at ways of improving your baseline happiness by learning to breathe. When something comes along in life that is challenging, traumatic, irritating, annoying, you learn that this actually is just life. Life isn't the avoidance of problems. These things are always going to happen, and for me it's building a fundamental baseline that means that you're able to breathe, recalibrate, deliver and accept that life is hard. Bad things happen to every single one of us and we can't avoid that. The patterns of where we all go wrong is that we all think that we've got endless amounts of time and that we can come back and fix whatever it is that we're currently doing that's wrong, that we know is wrong, that isn't right for us, and we think we've got this endless amount of time to revisit and adjust at a later date. And for now I'm going to push because I know I've got this goal, which if it's too far over there, then how much time do you think you have? Because I work in chapters, I work in small chunks, generally around 2 weeks at a time. And I think to myself, is this a period to push, pause, pull back or pivot? There's 4 decisions I have. Push, pull, pivot, pause. And each of those requires me to take a deep breath in. Because the moment I know I have some work to do, whether that's to reset my nervous system because I've worked too hard, in those moments I need to pause. I need to pull back initially to allow the space to make the decision. And for me, I go out in the sea, or I go out for a walk or a swim or a run, and I'm surrounded by nature, because within nature I become nature, and when I'm nature I'm able to make the right decisions that are in line with my deeper nature. And once I've made the decision in that environment, I then trust whatever it is, that decision that I've made. I take a deep breath in, and at this point I'm thinking, and then I stop thinking and I start feeling, and if the feelings are in line with what it is that I'm thinking, then I know that that's the right decision. And then I exhale and it's done. It's absolutely done. I know that I've made the decision, and then it happens. So the next 2 weeks will fall in line with whatever that decision is that I've made for myself, because I know from it, the evidence that I've gained from all of the times that I've done that along the last 2 years to get to where I am now, with the most respondent, powerful, resilient nervous system I have ever had. There is absolutely no contest. And it's funny because I've had a few messages from people over the last few days saying, is everything okay? Because you don't seem to be your bubbly self and you don't seem to be as happy as you used to be. But it's ironic because I've never felt happier. I've never felt more content. And maybe that requires me to not portray to be this happy person. I speak now from absolute presence and without having any thought around what I'm going to say. I just let the words flow out of me because I've created the space and the energy, and I'm now in the right energy to reflect and connect with those greater feelings within, because there's no force there. There's no force of I need to get up and do a podcast. It's not that. It's I feel ready to get up early, walk to the beach, do a little workout, get some thoughts out in this podcast, but because I know that it's providing value to others, because some people are stuck where I was and they're the very people that I'm trying to help. I'm not here to help everyone. Not everyone will resonate with this. Some people will dislike what I'm saying because they don't agree with it, because that's not where they are in their journey. For people to resonate with this message, there's this window of where they are and where they need to get to, and they've realised themselves the changes that they need to make, but they don't know how to make them and they don't trust that inner voice yet. But please create the space to connect with nature, because once you connect with nature, you will then be able to connect with your greater nature, and then everything will fall into place, because nature doesn't lie. It's not here to disguise itself. It's not here to manipulate you, deceive you. It's honest. It will always give you what you need, and if you're there to take it, then it will be the greatest reward you will ever have, because I have absolute trust and faith in nature and the greater good that is here to give me, and the lessons that I need to learn at the right moment will always lead to me growing as a person. And if I avoid it and trying to come back to it at a later date, then it will grow, and next time it comes around it's going to be harder. The lessons are going to be more severe. They'll have greater consequence, and at that point you will go, now I'll learn the lesson, but I wish I'd learned it back then, because that would have been an easier time to do it, and I wouldn't have wasted all this time living out of alignment without realising. And for me, these are just my answers. Not everything I'm saying will make sense to everybody, and sometimes it doesn't even make sense to me, because you can only make sense of things by joining the dots backwards and by looking backwards at your life. Sometimes, and a lot of the time throughout my journey, I've known it's the right thing to do, but I've known also that it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever in that moment. But that takes trust and faith and power and evidence along the way from where you were to the person I am today. I know it doesn't have to make sense, because at a later date, when I look back, and when I look back now at everything that has happened to me over the last 2 years especially, every single thing makes sense. But at the time it made no sense whatsoever, because it was alien to me. It was new. I wasn't comfortable. I had no idea how these things were going to play out, but I jumped anyway. I burnt the boats. I took the risk. I took that action that was in line with how I felt, not knowing if it was going to work out, but trusting that it would, and trusting that at a later date on a beach in Alacanis, I would look back on every single thing that has happened to me over the last 2 years and every single decision that I've made and be completely grateful, because I've never felt more resilient. I've never felt more capable of achieving things and building momentum, because it's felt very much like I've been trying to start a fire, and I've continuously, like you see on these survival programs, and they're still sat there trying to burn the flint, and nothing happens, nothing whatsoever. But you know that you need to continue, because the fire will not burn itself. And I've had this fire inside me that has been waiting to burn, and it feels very much like I've had to collect the kindling. I've had to build the resources inside me and have the patience and wisdom to keep going, keep trying new ways. And as I could see the potential of the fire starting, in that moment I doubled down and I gave it everything that I have. And I had the evidence there from doing the hard things physically, mentally and emotionally, the marathon, the podcast, the conversations I've had, the career change, starting the business. All of these things have involved risk, they've involved uncertainty, and so many moments of doubt and imposter syndrome. And the only person I've been trying to please is me, because if I can please me and the person that has made those decisions, then I know that the people I care about will benefit, and the people that I want to help and be there for will get the best version of me, because I'm living from purpose. And when that fire started, finally, wow. And there's a key moment, and it was the first 5 senses of the soul when I delivered the breathwork session to a group of people, and I saw them take those moments to breathe and have the emotional release, and I'd created that environment in nature. I knew that that was the portal. A good friend of mine, someone I'm working very closely with now, once told me that your lowest ebb is the portal to your greater self. And I know now each time I do these 5 senses of the soul with Naomi that we are creating the portal for people to come as one version of themselves, especially people that have never done those things before. Breathe. Take whatever it is that the universe has given them and then leave a different person. And this is the most exciting thing now for me moving forward, is discovering how can I evolve that and grow that to something that is helping so many more people, because I'm only just getting started. And it's ironic again that this time last year I drove to the Firs and I attended Olly Hall-Green's event as a participant, and I sat in the audience and I listened to Olly speak and the other speakers speak, and I connected with them and had them on my podcast, and I learned so much from them. And I looked within, and Olly talks about your A goal being something that you know is the actual thing that you want to achieve in life. You've got no idea how you're going to get there, but you know what the next step is. And I knew what the next step was. So I took it, and then I took the next one and the next one, and then the opportunities presented themselves, and I took that, and I got a bit braver and a bit bolder, and then everything just fell into place. And then when I jumped, and I finally left the police, and I looked back at the last year, and I thought, wow, it started in that step. That one step that I took after that event meant that the trajectory of my life completely changed. So I cannot wait to be now going back to that very same event with Olly, but this time as part of his team, and the people that are going to be coming as participants. I cannot wait to help Olly deliver his event. It's going to be absolutely magical, because that's what I'm here to do now. I'm here to help others. I've created the energy, the space, and I believe I have the wisdom now and the knowledge to pass on the things I've learned in a way that will help that person to apply it to themselves. I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm here to facilitate you to learn your lessons in your own way. And the final thing that I've learned is that the more I learn, the less I know. And that is humbling, because all I want to do is learn more so that I can understand that I actually know less. And the less that I know is actually powerful, because then I'm able to accept that just because somebody else tells me something doesn't mean they're right. It just means that they believe they're right. And that means I don't have to follow them. I don't have to follow anybody. It's not about following any leaders. It's about becoming your own leader so that you're able to then stand tall with nobody above you. We're all equal. No matter where you are in life, in any moment, you can lose everything or you can gain everything. And it's all a choice. Every single thing is a choice of how you judge whatever it is that is happening, whatever your situation is. Whether you're at rock bottom, there's only one way up. And when you're at sky high, there's only one way down. So be humble and be ready for whatever is next, because we can't foresee what's happening. We believe we can. We can set everything perfectly and then bang, something happens. So live each moment as if the next moment could change your whole life. But other than that, what do I know?